Hear this. Judge Jones has a connection to Woody fucking Harrelson.
Well,
I mean, leading it up like that, you pretty much let the cat out of the bag if you want me to give the brief synopsis of that story.
Yeah, but either way you tell the story, it's amazing, right?
All right, here you go. You want me to kind of paraphrase that real quick?
Yeah. Well, explain it to Mike.
All right. So my dad was a assistant district attorney down in South Texas when I was growing up. I was
nice.
4 years old, and then he became county judge for years and all that, and he practiced law, then retired. But he was assistant district attorney, and he and the district attorney worked on this case where it was like a love triangle, and this guy killed this other guy, and the guy who killed him was from a rich family. They got a lot of money and all this. So my dad and this other guy tried the case and got a conviction for this guy, right? So then we find out that there's a hit that's been put out on my dad and the district attorney, right? And the little side thing of that is the district attorney found out that there was a hit and did not tell my dad. My dad didn't know till later on. Whoa. And so the district attorney took off. And once I got older, my dad told me that part of it. And that guy was always like a family friend. And then once I found that out, I hated him so much.
Of course.
And then one time me and my dad saw him at a gas station when I was home from college. And I was just seething. I just wanted to say something. And in my mind, I was like, I hope you fucking die. And literally like a month later, he drops dead. And I felt happy about it. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well,
but anyway,
you know what? I would be thrilled too. I'd open a bottle of champagne.
I was kind of happy about it and have no guilt. Right. Anyway.
No, because look what he did, though. I mean, how?
Sure. Yeah. And then like my dad finds out from the feds, I think like the next day, that there's this hit put on him. And I remember they told him that the guy was so skilled that my dad could be hugging my mom and the guy could pick my dad off.
Whoa.
Right. So for, I guess it was like 5 or 6 days, we had cops that were around our house. And one of my dad's good friends, who was a police officer, then a private investigator, was on top of this museum about 100 yards away from our house on the roof with a long barrel rifle trained on our front door for 5 days.
Oh, right? God.
So it was like a whole thing, whatever.
This guy's like Navy SEAL ready. Holy crap.
He's ready. He knows his stuff. So he like lived up there, probably pissed off the side of the museum.
This guy was like Rambo in real life.
Yeah, like hardcore. And so he was up there. And so then, days. And I remember as a kid, there was a bunch of people in our house, like at that time, talking to my dad. But I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I don't really know what was going on. But I will tell you this. I don't know if I told you this before, Opie. Did I tell you I had a recurring nightmare for years about this?
No.
Did I tell you that? My recurring nightmare for years was that we're sitting at the dinner table, me and then my parents, and then eventually my sister, who's 5 years younger than me. And in my nightmare, there's a knock on the door, and my dad goes to answer it, and I turn and look as he opens the door, and I just see an arm come up with a gun. Whoa. And shoot him, and then I wake up. Like I had that dream. I told my dad that probably like 5 years ago, and he felt so bad that I had that dream. But it wasn't like a big deal to me. Like it wasn't like that big of a deal. But I think I had that dream because even though I was so young, I was old enough to hear what the adults were talking about.
Oh, you got it right away.
Yeah.
So I think it kind of sunk in there, Well, so I had that dream, like even up until high school, I had that dream, right?
That's scary, Judd, because they would send the mobbers all across the country. They would kill you anywhere.
I mean, and this is the thing. Right? So there's and Opie, I found out another part of this not long ago. I'll tell you this, but so anyway, all these people were in our house, and there's a hitman who's going to kill my dad and this other guy, whatever. Well, then we find out that the hitman has been captured. Right?
Oh, wow.
Now, he was driving a red Corvette, and he was coked out, and he blew past our town and missed the town altogether. And like the Texas DPS officers pulled him over like 30 miles outside of our town and arrested him because he was speeding and he's on drugs and all this. And he was actually wanted for the murder of Judge John Wood out of San Antonio, who was the first sitting judge to be assassinated. Whoa. Right? He was leaving for work to go to the courthouse in San Antonio, and he was hugging his wife on the porch, and the the sniper shot him dead on his porch
Jesus.
as he was
Oh,
leaving.
God.
The first federal judge to be assassinated, while he was on
That's
the porch.
horrible because it's like
Right.
these criminals don't care who they go after.
Don't even care. So this is the guy that they're looking for who killed that federal judge, and this is the guy who had the contract to kill my dad, and the guy was Charles Harrelson, who is Woody Harrelson's father.
Whoa.
Isn't that unbelievable?
How about that?
Unbelievable. I didn't think, is Woody a psycho himself?
Well, I've told you, I think I've told Opie this. I would love, because Opie, it's his father, right? So Opie, but Harrelson, like he defends his father. I think the last I heard that he thinks it was like not a mistrial, but didn't believe everything about his father, something like that. All right, you talk about history, Mike Bichetti. You're a history guy. You can trace like the Italian mafia in New York all the way down, through the Midwest and the South and all that, all the way down to South Texas and the drug runners and the Mexican mafia. I mean, there's a line. Like you can trace it all the way down. And this guy was further down the line. He was an enforcer for these guys who were bringing in drugs in El Paso. The Chagra family. That's the family who hired him to kill that federal judge.
Because they're all with a judge. They're all in one big pool of people. 1% bikers, the mob. They're all.
It's all
like
connected. It's all connected, and it's just like the craziest stuff. Yeah.
Let me ask Mike Bichetti. So, Woody
You should write a movie about this.
Think so?
Yeah, man. Actually, he's not wrong. Mike, do you know?
Because Judd, I'm telling you, I'm sorry, Judd. This would be a great film.
Do you know?
It's all accurate. There's like, when you tell stories, like sometimes you might embellish something. There's nothing embellished about this story. It's just so like over the top that there's no license you need
and
to
you should tell the truth.
Embellish anything.
Right with everything you just talked about now. We should have a 90-minute movie out of this.
Oh yeah, I think it could be potentially like a 3-hour movie if you connect all of the ways in which even those people, because it even goes back to how all those people in that kind of faction of criminals contributed to this political machine in South Texas that got LBJ elected senator